What's going on, guys? Hope y'all are having a great day out there. Today, guys, we are going over a new product from M2C Racing for the Traxxas Xmaxx. As you can see, I just have the front end of my Xmaxx at the moment because I'm still waiting for a few other parts for this thing to arrive to get this thing back together. However, M2C just sent me this, and guys, this has always been a huge problem with the Traxxas Xmaxx, or the hinge pins popping out, falling out, and you know, on those heavy landings, those things coming out, and your steering knuckles and everything popping out of joint, or your ARs popping out. They are now put together a full set of locking hinge pins with a retainer nut, and you get everything, of course, you need for any of them. These ones here are for the lower shock pins, which these have always been a problem child, these things popping out. And also, another great thing that this cures, and then what I had to deal with on mine whenever I first got this, I did the RPM locking hinge pins. However, you can see there's one major flaw with these. Whenever you go to install them, you have to drill and countersink the nut into your A-arm in order for your steering knuckle to actually clear it. Because if you don't, you lose a whole bunch of your steering, and it stops about there. I'll show you what I'm talking about. These are another set that I had. As you can see on these, there is a big head. Let me pop one of these out of here real quick. Maybe. Anyway, I'll pull them out here in a moment. But anyway, what they have done is made these out of some hardened steel, and they are a flush mount style pin. I'm going to get all these out of the bags here, and I'll show you guys a little closer. But we're going to get these installed up on here. Get one side at least mounted up on here so you guys can see how they work. And now you no longer have to drill out your A-arm and lose all that meat you know, on a brand new A-arm. And also now you get to lock everything. The inners, uppers, outers, everything. So this is a great, great product that they come up with. That's one thing. M2C is always taking what's out there and just refining it and making it the best you can get, guys. So we're going to go ahead, get some old ones pulled out of here, get the new ones installed, and take a look and see how she looks. So stay tuned, everybody. All right, guys. Well, we're going to work on the lower hinge pin for the shock first. So you're going to remove your screw like you normally would. Slide this pin out of here. These things can always get gummed up and are real fun. Now, with the pin here, or with the new setup, should I say, they also supply the drill bit. And what you're going to be doing with the drill bit is popping the shock out of there. So I still got chunks of dirt falling out. But the drill bit they supply with the kit, you're going to basically drill the whole way through the rest of your A-arm, because on the back side, you can see there's a tiny little hole down there. But you're just going to make it a tiny bit bigger with the drill bit to insert your new pin. So we're going to go ahead, get the drill bit out. I'm not going to show both sides. I'm just going to show one side here and how they work and how they hold up, how they install. But basically, you're just going to go right through your current hole, drill it the whole way through. Now you got one solid hole the whole way across. Nice retaining pins. Really nice. The machining work they do on all their products is just absolutely top notch, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and pop out our nuts and the little Delron washers that are in here. I think they're Delron. So I'm gonna go ahead and just install it back the same way you did, or you took it out. Sometimes these balls are always fun to try to line back up again. So you might have to give a little wiggle around here. Lining them up sometimes is always fun. This was always what I always fought with every time putting these hinge pins back in. But at least now once they go in, you're not going to be fighting with them to come back out. So go ahead and tap her through the whole way. Alright, guys, sorry I was fiddling around trying to figure out the best placement for everything on this first one. But anyway, after you drill your hole, you stick your pin back through there, grab a hold of this side, start your nut on there, and what I find easiest is grabbing this side with a pair of pliers or needle nose, or if you have the right size wrench, which I don't have the right sized metric wrench, so I guess I gotta order me some more tools. It's not an odd size, it is a 5.5 or 5 millimeter. I'm honestly not sure. This fit on it, but it was in a weird angle. Anyway, I just grabbed a hold of it with a pair of pliers on both sides and then turned the nut and tightened it down. But now it is fully locked in there with a locking nylon nut on the other side. So now that can't pop out, push through, a lot more sturdy. So now we're going to work on probably the bottom A-arm. I think we'll pop this one out here next. I'm going to go ahead and remove the bottom pin out of here, and I'll bring you guys back in a moment. Alrighty, I went ahead and I threw the other front shock hinge pin, new hinge pin on here. Once you do the first one, the second one's much easier. I just left the shock in place. I never pulled it out, drilled it straight through, slid the new pin in. It was a piece of cake that way. I was making it difficult on the first one. But this is the part number for the M2C, the 4mm lower shock pins. It's the M2C 1138. Hope you guys can see that. My light's kind of weird. But anyway, now we're going to work on the lower. And this is the number for that. The M2C 1135, Xmaxx inner lower hinge pins. So went ahead and removed the two screws on the front and the rear of the current hinge pin. I'm going to go ahead and slide that pin out. Hopefully it's not too jammed in there. They usually are. These things get so gummed up with stuff to give a few taps to get them coerced into coming out. But there we go. All right, got the old pin out. Now, gonna take the new M2C pin, slide her down in there from the front to the back, seated the whole way through. Gonna take one of your nylon nuts. And honestly, guys, I hope I'm putting the nuts on these nylon washers on the right side. I assume I am, but I could be making a mistake there. But I believe, I mean, usually always the washer goes on the nut side, you know, in usually most cases. So we're going to go with that. Get the nut screwed on the other side, just like that. She's all in place. Now on this one, I can take my driver nice and easy and grab a hold of this end with a pair of pliers and go ahead and crank her down. Oh, not quite yet. Give her a few more cranks. And there we go. She's all locked in place. That thing is now not going to come out of there. Sorry, I'm going to try to adjust my camera a little differently. The camera is actually blocking the light. But as you can see, the front, you don't need any screws on this thing anymore. The front is flush down with the front of the A-arm, and the back has got the retaining nut on there. These things are not going to fall out. It would take the whole entire A-arm snapping off or the whole front bulkhead busting off for these things to come out now. Great, great idea from M2C. Really happy to see these because these hinge pins have always been a pain. And this is the other thing right here. These are, the RPM ones. And you got this big, goony, button cap. I think that's what they're called. The head sticking out of the A-arm here real far. So these will be mounted nice and flush. So we're going to go ahead and get these mounted up next. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. And we'll get these ones changed out. Like I said, I'm just going to show one side here real quick. Changing these things out and what they look like. Everybody's changed these things out, I'm sure. If you've had an Xmaxx, you have pulled these pins apart, so you know what to do. I'm just kind of showing the product and what it looks like once it's installed here. And because we've been talking, with M2C Racing and Mitch and Avery, Looper. And, kind of discussing the different little problem areas and the issues that are common problems on these trucks, and all been working on them. So they put together some great, great products. So now this is going to be the front and rear outer, lower, upper hinge pins. With some shimming, this should be the ones here. Looks to be about the right length. Because these ones are the upper inner, yeah. So those aren't the ones I'm looking for. These part numbers are M2C 1136. Front and rear outer, lower, and upper hinge pins. So these do basically your upper and lower outer knuckles. But I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the package, and I'll bring you guys back in a moment. All right, guys. Well, we went ahead and got the pin removed out of there. Also, real quickly threw in the other hinge pin on the lower. So now you're just going to take your pins like you normally would. Slide them through. Once you get everything lined up. It's always the fun part. Oh, I'm sorry. These need to be drilled out. So these will have the same drill bit. You need to drill out the A-arm to fit the bolt the whole way through. So you just go ahead and drill that out. Pop your drive shaft back in. Slide that through there. Pops out the other side, and now these sit nice and flush with the A-arm. You don't have that big goony nut or head sticking out of there. Sits nice and flush, and these are flat on both sides, so you can grab a hold of them with a pair of pliers to hold on to them while you tighten down the nut. So there is still something there. So you go ahead and slide your washer over there. Spin your nut on. And you are good to go. That's what I've been doing. I've just been taking a pair of... Where'd they go? Sorry, guys. I'm a little discombobulated today. In the midst of packing and getting ready to leave tomorrow morning, I'm just kind of trying to get some stuff done here in the shop before I leave. So, kind of all over the place. So, I don't seem quite with it. That's why. But, guys, there you go. And this top one is the big one, because obviously this was always the big issue with installing a locked hinge pin, was because of this right here, that you had to countersink this. Now, obviously mine are already countersunk, so I'm going to see how this works out. I might need to put a washer on mine just because I did that, so it takes up that gap, but we'll see what it looks like here. I'm going to go ahead and pop this top one off, and we'll check that out. Alrighty, went ahead, popped out this one, got the pin out. We're gonna go ahead and slide in the new one and see how this matches up, because unfortunately I had to drill mine out to make them work with these RPMs. So we're gonna see how this is going to, actually the head on these are still slightly bigger. I'm trying to get a good angle here where the light and everything is hitting it. So actually I don't need to put a washer, so that is great. So I can just use them as normal, and now, as you guys can see, now that I don't have shadows, they sit nice and flush with the A-arm here. So now it can actually close down and not hit on there and, you know, and impede your steering. So this was a huge, huge win here for this car, and not having to drill out your brand new A-arms and put 500 washers on this side. It was just a goofy design that RPM had on this thing. Wasn't really thought through clearly, obviously, but we're going to go ahead, get this one, get the nut on this side, and get this thing finished up, and that's going to do it. All right, everyone, well, I'm going to go ahead and work on the upper one now, and this will complete one whole side. We got the lower, the shock, the main inner, and we got the upper now. It's nice and clearing all the steering linkage, which is beautiful. And now we're going to go ahead and work on the upper inner and pop this pin out and get this one in, and that will finish this thing up. And one step closer to making this thing a little better. Once I get my whole center chassis for this thing, the only part, I somehow, the night ordering parts for this thing, managed to forget to order the center chassis. Because I completely seen, as you guys seen in that video, demolished the whole center tub chassis on this thing again. I decided I'm not going to take this thing to the skate park anymore and launch it off of that thing. It clearly doesn't like it. I have a lot of fun down there, but the car, not so much. And I know, it's fun beating on them down there, but skate parks are very, very hard on the cars. So I'm going to try to avoid that a little bit from now on, honestly. I'm going to go down there, still probably ramp it off normal jumps and stuff like that, but sending it off those vert walls is just a definite doom for the car. Also, I don't think I gave you the part number, but the upper inner hinge pins, which is the last one I'm changing out here, the part number for that is M2C 1137. So that is for the two upper inners for those. So these will be the ones you want to put in here. You go ahead and get these installed. Get the last few little taps. My A-arms, because I had to modify them slightly for all this. Well, for the RPM. Luckily, even after modifying everything for the RPM, they all fit up, which is great. I was a little bit concerned about that. So don't worry, if you did drill yours out for the RPM originally, they will still work on there. So that is definitely one good piece. I was wondering if I was going to have to change out my upper A-arms now, due to having the correct the correct part. Because sometimes when you have the wrong part, you end up having to modify things that you shouldn't, like putting on, I think, 8 or 9 washers and drilling out the A-arm, which was just goofy. As soon as I got that kit, I thought, this just can't be right? You just shouldn't have to drill out your A-arm in order to put a fixed hinge pin in there. But after talking with some people, they're like, yeah, that's what you got to do. That's normal. And I'm like, this isn't normal, guys. This right here is the proper way. And leave it to M2C Racing. They came up with the fix for this and the proper way to do this. So big shout out to Mitch and Avery Looper, guys. You guys have been putting together just some incredible products and fixing all the weird little things in the improper ways that other companies have done them. You guys have been doing a fabulous job. And I just want to say thank you for that. But guys, that is it. We got one whole side down. This side I'll finish up the rest of these, but I'm not going to bore you guys with all that. But everything's all got the fixed lower hinge pins now. Everything on the upper, the shock, and the upper inner. So that's going to do it. She's looking nice, and I don't have to worry about any of these hinge pins popping out again, because these have always been a problem with these things popping out and your knuckle falling off and having to tear it all apart and get her back together again and hope it doesn't fall out again. So now, don't have to deal with that. All right, everybody. Well, she is all finished up, and we got the new M2C Racing locking hinge pins in everything. The upper inner, the upper lower, the shocks, and the upper and lower outers. And everything fit up beautifully, and now the pins do not hit your steering joints, which is just awesome. Everything clears great. There's no problem with clearances anywhere. Guys, this is going to be a huge thing for this car, because anybody that is trying to change out their A-arms or go with RPMs, especially even on the uppers, because I've been sticking with the stock Traxxas HD lowers, but the RPM upper seems to be a good combination. However, the problem with that was running the RPM fixed hinge pins, which hit your steering joint. So now this cures that problem, and should be ready to roll. As soon as I get my center chassis, I'll get this thing back together again, and we'll have the Xmaxx out there ripping and having some fun again. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the little install video today. I know it was a little bit, probably wasn't my best work, just to be flat out honest with you guys. A little bit rushed for time, unfortunately, but I wanted to get these things installed, see how they fit, and put together a little video so you guys can see what's coming up here for the Xmaxx and from M2C Racing. I'm not sure when these will be released just yet. These are, kind of still in a prototype phase, I believe. They might be releasing very soon, but you guys will see them up on the site, and the link to their site will be in the description of the video. But that's going to do it. So until next time, y'all be safe, be careful out there. Peace out, everybody.